Turbo and 2K show.
What is up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. And yes, I am super pumped up about this one. I really wish 2Ks would have been here because he is our resident Detroit Tigers expert. But he did give me, it was kind of a curveball to be like, hey, dude, I'm heading to Detroit. I'm going to go take in the game, the first Sunday Night Baseball since 2017. And I said, all right, go ahead. It's too damn hot for this guy. But he is boots on the ground. So I can't wait to next week get his opinion on how it's going because Scoobs is dealing. Riley Green just went deep to put him up 2-0 against the Twins. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some news, and we're going to hit the MLB here real quick. But before we get started, I do have to make a couple changes here. So bear with me here, 2K crew. Just give me 1 second. It won't take that long. I got everything. I had so much stuff ready to go and totally forgot to do this. So bear with me, please, just for one more second. But yeah, how is everyone's weekend going? Ours still is hotter than heck. Hotter than heck. Like I said, I did not want to. To be honest with you, I am not the most slender person. So when 2K said, "Hey, we're going to Detroit, we're going to take in the game," I was like, you know what, I'm already tired of sweating, and it's not even July. So again, it was over 90 degrees here in Michigan today. Not really my cup of tea. But if you are taking in a game in Detroit, and it is like the 7 o'clock style game, get seats on the first base line. They are in the shade. If you're on the third base line or in the outfield, eventually you do get in the shade, but you're sitting there sweating your ass off. So that's tips from Turbo right here, right now. Before we get into it, I do kind of have something I want to throw out there. We had someone reach out to us. I believe it was on TikTok, offering to see if we wanted to do some live game streaming, not video games, but us watching games. Is that something you guys and gals would be interested to see? I know it would be kind of cool because 2Ks and I are different fandom. So it could be, especially if our teams play each other, I think that'd be pretty cool. But we do have college football coming in. Right after that, NFL coming up. So what's really cool about this is that because as you guys and gals know, it is so hard to do like a watch party style show because everyone's delay is at something different. And this is a program that sets everyone's delay at the exact same. So I think it's kind of cool. I think it's worth a shot. I have not got all the details on it, but I will here shortly. But I wanted to run it by you guys and gals, kind of see if you've if you've watched anything like that. Would you be interested in watching something like that? I think it'd be kind of fun. So we shall see. And we are putting a TV up here in the studio here. So pretty excited about that. So it would be kind of fitting. So I'm just curious if, for those of you that have done it on like the production side, are we able to stream that to like the YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, all of that? Just curious, just throwing it out there. But yeah, let's get into the talk of the week. Actually, not yet. We're gonna get into some news. Right out the gate, this one kind of popped today. This is from Woodward Sports Network. Breaking: the U.S. District Attorney's Office is investigating Detroit Pistons guard Malik Beasley on allegations of gambling related to NBA games and prop bets, per Shams Charania. Now this hits kind of weird because, if I'm not mistaken, because we're not really big basketball fans over here, but the Pistons have been on an uptick, so we kind of keep an eye on him. Wasn't this guy up for kind of a hefty extension? Seems like a weird time to be gambling on your sport. And if you didn't learn from what the Lions just went through a couple years ago, that's on you, kid. That's on you. They can tell where you're at while you're betting. Because in the NFL, you can't bet even on different sports if you're within the any of the team's facilities, including the hotel when you're on away game. So this is something that just can't happen. It just cannot happen. So I have no remorse for this. Don't even care what he was betting, how he was betting, if he won. Don't really care. This is becoming such a stupid, stupid story that, excuse me, that keeps breaking. Seems like yearly there's at least one bonehead that goes ahead and does this. So I'm out on it. I'm out on it. And sounds like from what I gathered over on Twitter, there's a lot of folks that are just like, hey, don't really need to sign him to an extension anymore because he's not going to be available to play. So maybe save the Pistons some money. Never know. Speaking of money, we all saw Cooper Flagg go number 1 overall to Dallas. This tweet's from Sports Track or Spot Track. And this kind of blew my mind because growing up we were always like, is LeBron going to be the first billionaire athlete? Is Tom Brady? Who is Tiger Woods? Who's going to be that first $1 billion athlete? And this kind of puts everything into perspective here. If Cooper Flagg is a superstar, the financial path forward is wild. Rookie contract 25 to 28, $62.7 million. 30% Supermax extension from 29 to 33, $359 million. 35% Supermax extension 34 to 38, $509 million, totaling $930 million, and Flagg will be a 31-year-old. That just kind of blew me away because these are just NBA earnings. This isn't endorsements. This isn't sponsorships. This isn't any of that. This is purely from the team in which he plays. So, I mean, all accounts seem to be that this kid is going to be the real deal. This is under the current collective bargaining agreement. I have no idea when the NBA their CBA is up, so that possibly could change. And we just saw LeBron re-up for another $50+ million to be with the Lakers, with amongst some controversy, which I'm not really going to get into because I didn't do a whole lot of research on it. But it is, if basketball seems to be the way to go if you want to make a whole lot of money really quick. Again, that's over $900 million directly from the team by the age of 31. That's insane. And you might be saying to yourself, well, how do we know if he's going to be that good? Well, we've all seen, and we're going to see it again now that the draft is over, and once free agency starts up, we're going to see a lot of folks get a lot of money that you're going to be like, that guy is a supermax. That guy's worth $50 million. So if and I guarantee 2K Crew, you've said it too. If those guys get that kind of money, and if Cooper Flagg is above average, he's going to get that and more. So the over 900 million, I could see it. And he's going to have a shoe. He's going to decide a pretty big deal to get his own sneaker, whether it's Nike, Adidas, whatever. So yeah, Cooper Flagg, your next billionaire athlete, and all of that projected before he even steps foot on an NBA court. So kind of, it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, I did want to take a couple to show you a couple tweets here. I believe they're from the same account, going back to the conversation we had a couple weeks ago about the fleecing that between the Nationals and the Padres in the Juan Soto trade, as well as, so this is the first one. And all of this is coming about because of the All-Star voting. And a lot of folks are kind of upset because James Wood was not voted, if I'm not mistaken, or didn't make it to the next tier or the next voting session to be an All-Star. And this is from the Skipper's View over on Twitter. James Wood alone is better than Juan Soto. Add the other pieces from the trade, and it might be one of the greatest robberies in MLB history. And I know this might be a little tough for you guys and gals to see, but there's only 2 categories in this whole thing that Juan Soto is better than James Wood. And that being plate appearances, which Juan Soto leads him 344 to 343. So, I mean, we're splitting hairs here with one plate appearance. I mean, come on. But the on-base percentage, Soto's at 392 and Wood is at 376. So a little bit of a differentiation there, but a higher WAR, more hits, more homers, more RBIs, more stolen bases, a better batting average. So a bigger higher slugging percentage, higher OPS, and higher OPS plus. So whichever stat that you kind of use to grade players, James Wood is better than Juan Soto as it sits right now. Now, I will say the caveat to this is Soto got out the gate slow and lately has been one of the best hitters in baseball. But closely behind him is Mr. Wood. So don't sleep on this kid. And that kind of parlays into this one here. Again, from the skipper's view, Juan Soto really stopped this lineup from happening. Now, let's be honest. Juan Soto didn't do this. This was the front office, giving up these assets to acquire Juan Soto. It's not like he signed there and then they just let these guys go. So let's throw that out there. Excuse me. CJ Abrams at shortstop, Fernando Tatis Jr. in right, Manny Machado at third, James Wood in left, Luis Arias at DH, Jake Cronenworth at first, Xander Bogaerts at second, Elias Diaz at catcher, and Jackson Merrill playing center. I have a feeling if you were the Padres and you could run that back, because like we talked about, you didn't do shit with Juan Soto in your lineup. Did you made the playoffs? Did you win a ring? Nope, sure didn't. So again, I have a feeling if the Padres could take this trade back, they would take it back in a heartbeat. And you add to that Mackenzie Gore, who they got as a frontline starter when you've had some problems with health with your starting pitching, so that helps out too. So again, this is something that I have a very good feeling that the brass over at the Padres would gladly rewind and hit the reset button on. Now let's talk about the Major League home run leader as it sits right now, June 29th, 2025 at 8:25 p.m. And that is the big dumper himself, Cal Raleigh. And this is a stat from Hembo over at ESPN. Context on Cal Raleigh's 200 OPS plus, 100 is the average, would be the highest by any switch hitter since 1961, Mickey Mantle, and would be the highest by any catcher since 1945, Josh Gibson. He's doing some historic shit here, 2K Crew. And if you sit down and think about it, it's like, okay, should he really be mentioned in the MVP conversation with Judge? And we've seen Judge come back to earth. There was no way he was going to flirt with 400 for all season. Let's just be honest. And that's not Yankee hater turbo coming out. This is being realistic. Okay. It was awesome while he was doing it. He is still above, head and shoulders above any hitter in the American League, with one exception that could be looming here. This is from Talkin' Baseball. Cal Raleigh threw a subtle jab at Aaron Judge in his post-game interview. 31, which is now 32, I believe. Homers hits different when you're doing it at T-Mobile, not in the Bronx. I'm impacting the game on both sides, and yeah, I think that deserves MVP talk. Well, Cal, I tell you what, dude. If Turbo had a vote, you'd be getting it, kid. You'd be getting it. And the biggest argument is, he's far behind in batting average, far behind in, OPS. There's a big gap here, big gap there. But the thing that makes this special to me is, like he said, he's doing it on both sides. He's a catcher. And look at the pitching staff that he's wrangling every single day. That's an amazing pitching staff. At the beginning of the season, they were the ones that were supposed to be kind of leading this whole charge because the offense was so shitty. Now, the offense has been a little bit more potent than I think anyone thought, and the pitching staff really hasn't been as dominant as I think a lot of us had thought. However, a little caveat to that is they've had a lot of injuries on the bump. So we're seeing those guys come back, and we're kind of seeing this Mariners team kind of be the form that they should be right now. And it'll be exciting to see what they add in the when it comes trade deadline time. So yeah, I mean this is legit. This is legit. And you might be saying to yourself too, well, Turbo, he doesn't catch every day because he has to have a break. Well, look at how many games he's appeared in. And as a good host, I would have those numbers, but there's been like 3 or 4 days that he's had just off. The other ones he's DHing. So are these power numbers going to be, can he continue to post these numbers? At the rate he's going, yes. At the rate he's going. Now, we all know dog days of summer are coming upon us. And yes, it's hotter than hell here in Michigan, like we talked about. And that has to hit harder for a catcher than a right fielder or a center fielder, wherever they have Judge playing. But I have a feeling, physically that has to take more of a toll. So how is that going to impact it? TBD. I mean, that's something I guarantee the whole collective baseball eye is going to be on. And it's not because, we're trying not to give it to Judge. It's just that this is something we haven't seen. And with that being said, let's take a look at this one. This is from our boy Nugget Chef at JHeyKid over at BID. Cal Raleigh's current OPS plus 200 is better than any single season delivered by any of the following players: Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, Albert Pujols, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. You have what some people still believe is the home run king. Some people with Willie Mays say he's the greatest baseball player to ever live. Albert Pujols has an argument to be the best right-handed hitter of all time. Mike Trout, minus injury, some were saying that he was going to overtake Willie Mays as the best baseball player ever. And then the unicorn, Shohei Ohtani. So to have yourself be to accomplish something that none of these players have ever accomplished baffles me. As a catcher, none of these guys are catchers. Not even close. Not even close. So to me, that gives Cal that leg up to where he's different. He's different. And if I'm not mistaken, we kind of gave Ohtani, rightfully deserved, but the biggest argument with his performance in some of these past MVP seasons is we're seeing something we've never seen before. Now, granted, power hitting catcher is a whole hell of a lot different than a guy who hits home runs and pitches. I'm not saying that they're comparable, but we just haven't seen it. And yes, there's things Judge has done that no other right-handed hitter has done or left-handed hitter. But just to be doing that as a catcher, to me that is absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. So yes, as of June 29th, 2025, Cal Raleigh, you have my MVP vote. You have my vote. So that's kind of the news there, 2K crew. So let's jump into some regular. No, let's not do that one. We got to talk about the Tigers before we talk about the rest of the MLB, because why else would I make the thumbnail and the title focusing on the Tigers if we're not going to highlight them? And yes, you might be saying, well, Turbo, you're just glazing the Tigers. You're just glazing Tarek Skubal. You're just glazing. Well, you know what? They're the best fucking team in the league. And you're talking to a Tigers team who has a fan base that this has not happened in over almost a decade. So, yeah, we're going to do a little glazing here tonight, but rightfully so. Rightfully so. Because this team is over 20 games above 500, has the biggest lead of any team in any division, and everything is just falling into place for them. The players that they had that were hurt, they're getting them back, and they're hitting the cover off the ball. I believe it. They're going to have 4 or 5 all-stars from this squad. So, and on top of that, I guarantee this team's front office is going to be extremely, extremely aggressive once it comes closer to that trade deadline. Because yes, not only is this big league squad good, but the farm teams are just as good. Just as good. Last time I checked, the Tigers and every single one of their minor league squads were first place in their divisions. That's bananas. That is absolutely bananas. So it's not like the cupboard is bare. And I'm not saying do a Dombrowski, Tigers fans live through that, and then next thing you know, your farm system's dead. And that's what's led to this slower than slow rebuild, but it's here. It's here. So again, there's, like we talked about last week, I have a feeling this trade deadline is going to have a little bit more steam, a little bit more pizzazz than I initially thought it was going to leading up to this. And I think too, with a lot, we talked about this last year. It seems to me that if you're a team interested in player A, and player A could help your team today, June 29th, why not trade for him now? Why not trade for him now? It seems to me like that would be the best option for any front office that's looking to acquire. Now, if you're looking to sell, that's a totally different story, and which is probably why a lot of these deals do take place closer to the trade deadline, because as a seller, you're looking for more buyers. More buyers equals a better return. I get that. But if you're said team that's buying and you know you're going to have to overpay just a little bit, why not do it now? Why not do it now? Get that guy in the clubhouse, get him, in the culture, get him acquiesced to the team. The sooner that they gel, the better that everything is going to be. And again, like I said, you're being more aggressive, and to me, that just makes more sense. But like I said, a buyer can't buy anything unless a seller is selling something. So I totally get why sellers want to wait, but if I'm a buyer, I'm calling. I'm calling right now. I want to get that guy in here as soon as possible. Yes, might have to overpay just a bit, but you know what? That overpay gets him here earlier, gets him here gelling with the team faster. So I'll get off my soapbox. But yeah, let's jump into some Tiger stuff here. That's why everyone is here. And while I bring that up, while everyone is here, thank you for those of you that are watching and taking your time out. Maybe you're watching us side by side with the Tigers. But yeah, go ahead and hit that like, hit the subscribe over on YouTube, hit the follow button over on X. And for those of you OGs that have us in your ears, whether you're driving or you are on the treadmill, thank you. You guys on the audio side are the real OGs of the show. So let's take a look at some stats here, and I kind of have everything all over the place. Let's talk just the division right now. Just the division right now. We're seeing the Tigers, they're 5-5 in their last 10. We've seen the Guardians just absolutely shit the bed, and there really isn't there's not a team over 500 in this whole division aside from the Tigers. And I said the Tigers are 52-32. They're 20 games above 500. To me, that is absolutely insane. With a run differential of plus 96, ranks, I want to say, third, only behind the Cubs and the I almost said the Rays, the Yankees. But yeah, this is a team that's shaking and baking. They are shaking and baking. And one thing that I did want to I wanted to see how their lineup stacked up against the rest of the rest of the league, as well as the pitching staff. Because you don't get a run differential like that without the hitters hitting and the pitchers pitching. So I kind of wanted to take a step back and kind of do a deep dive, if you will. And I got over to StatMuse, and the Tigers are 5th in batting average. Let's see. Do they have RBIs here? Yes, they are 4th in RBIs, 8th in home runs. Now, I remember a couple years back, this Tigers team was atrocious at hitting home runs. Collectively as a team, now this is prior to tonight, so you can add 2 more on this. So StatMuse has them at 104, so they're at 106, and they're sitting 8th in the league. And this team had no pop. This team had no pop at all. So, and you can kind of credit that with, excuse me. You can credit that to some of the guys already on the squad that have kind of gotten to the point where I think a lot of Tigers fans hope they would be. Players like, Riley Green, Spencer Torkelson, some of the other kids that have come up that hadn't really hit their stride yet. And we're seeing them hitting their strides quite nicely. And I saw a stat that ESPN was running on Sunday Night Baseball that the Tigers have 11 players on the roster currently that they have brought up. So 11 players, which was second only behind Colorado, which Colorado had 13. So as you can probably guess, you're Colorado, you want to spend the least amount of money as you can. So of course, easiest way is to just promote the youngins, get them up in the show, see what happens. But controversially, you look at the Tigers and what they've done with 11, which is asinine. And all of this is not an old team. This is a team of very young kids, and they're producing the way that they are is absolutely amazing. And if you were watching the broadcast, they had Carlos Correa mic'd up, and they asked him. I said, "What?" I believe it was a fan question. Said, "What is?" AJ Hinch took a young Astros team and kind of made them into what they were, and now he's doing it again with the Tigers. What makes him so good? And Correa's answer was, he's always one step ahead. He's always one step ahead. And to me, you'd be hard pressed to find a better manager in Major League Baseball than AJ Hinch right now. And I'm not saying that just because his team has the most wins. I'm not saying that because his team sits atop with the best record in baseball. It's taking the talent that he has and I'm not going to say outperforming, but pretty damn close. He's getting not only the most, but somehow more out of his players than I think any other coach that would be in the same position. And so yeah, that again blows my mind. So let's look at the pitching side of this. They're set, and this is the entire pitching staff, not just the starters. But they are 7th in team ERA, 9th in saves, and let's see, 6th in base on balls. Have given up the long ball a little too much. They're 13th in the league with 89 home runs allowed. And judging by this, they love to hit dudes because they're 20th in baseball with 36 hit batsmen. It's kind of weird. But if you look at this, all the stats that you're looking for, they're in the top 10 in all of them. So to me, that just goes to show me that not only because if you look at a lot of these teams that are, kind of vying for that, for the best record in baseball, or, kind of once we start looking into the playoffs, they're going to have one side of this that, whether it's the pitching side or the hitting side, that is more dominant than the other one. And rewind to last year when the Tigers made their run, it was the pitching staff that pretty much propelled them into the position that they are. It wasn't this team dropping dick and hitting home runs. It was the pitching staff dominating. It was Tariq Skubal winning the pitching the AL Triple Crown. It was things like that. And now to have the luxury of having an offense that is dropping dick all the time, this seems like a perfectly generated squad. They're balanced from pitching side, the hitting side, defensively, bullpen, starters, doesn't matter. no matter what analytic you look at, you're going to get something positive and going to be in the top 10 for both sides. Both sides. So to me, that is just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So one argument that you could pose that would kind of contradict everything that I just said about the Tigers is, well, Turbo, they play in the American League Central. You said that none of these teams have a winning record. Of course, the Tigers, if they're a better team, are going to be, because they play those teams the majority of the time. If you're playing bad teams, you're going to have good hitting. You're going to have good pitching because their players stink. This is the same division that sent 3 teams to the playoffs last year. Now, granted, the Royals have not played nearly as well as I think most everyone thought. And I think the Guardians kind of caught lightning in a bottle last year. And there were some folks that had very high hopes for this Twins team. But I think in my eyes, I was thinking that this division was going to come down to the Tigers and the Royals. And the Royals, they're 13 games back as it sits right now. And just to kind of put that into perspective, 2K Crew, not only are the Tigers the only team over 500, they are the only team with a positive run differential. Remember, I said plus 96. The Guards have minus 47. The Twins have minus 11. Royals minus 33. And, of course, the White Sox at minus a billion. But, again, it just goes to show you. And yet, you guys and gals that come with that argument, you might be right. You might be right that the AL Central sucks this year. You might be right. But I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all. I'm buying on the positive side, saying that this Tigers team is just that good. Just that good. And like we just went through that little exercise, they're just that good on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball. And let's see if I can throw you some more here. Just want to take a cruise down some player individual stats here. Riley Green went yard again tonight, so he now has 19 home runs and flirting with that 300 batting average. And the key here with Riley Green is he's finally healthy. Finally healthy. And Tigers fans are seeing what I think all of baseball really what had in mind when the Tigers drafted him. This kid can be dynamic. Dynamic. Now, I think Tigers fans would be ecstatic if Green and Skubal were extended tonight after the game. Why not? Why not? Zach McKinstry batting 287. Javi Baez batting 285. Gleyber Torres, who probably is going to be the starting second baseman for the AL in the All-Star game, batting 284. Dylan Dingler, 268. Kerry Carpenter, who I think he hit the first home run, batting 252, which gives him 16 home runs. And yes, Torkelson is batting 221, but with 20. Oh, hold on. That's not him. 229 with 17 home runs. And I think even though he started out the season like gangbusters, and we kind of saw the potential, kind of what all Tigers fans were hoping not Tariq Skubal, but Spencer Torkelson could be and should be. And we all said, you know what? He went down at the end of last year, got shit figured out. They brought him up. He kind of started having success, at the later part of the season into the playoffs. And we're like, okay, this worked. Genius move. And we're seeing, he's the ups and the downs. And I got to tell you, 2K Crew, I am not at all worried. Not at all. These are the ebbs and flows of a young kid. He's 25. He's 25 right now. So with something like that, you kind of have to take the good with the bad. And there's a whole lot of good there. Whole lot of good. So that's one guy I'm not stressing over. I'm not worried about. We're going to get some more Spencer Torkelson like we saw at the beginning of the season, and like I said, I have absolutely no qualms with Mr. Torkelson. So let me see if I can pull some. Again, better podcast host would have had this locked and loaded. Let's take a look at the pitching staff. And I know with the loss of Jackson Jobe, that kind of hurt a little bit, but like we even talked about even, weeks before, with him being 22 years old, I have a feeling that he wasn't going to be a starter for all year. Maybe, built-in rest days, work out of the bullpen. Is it a huge loss? Absolutely. Absolutely 110%. But I'm not saying it's the worst thing either. They weren't looking for him to be a number 2. They weren't asking him to be a number 2. This is his first was going to be his first full season as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball. So I'm not. It sucks, yeah, it sucks. But is it the end of the world? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. But one thing we can say without a shadow of a doubt is that Tariq Skubal is the best pitcher in baseball. You can argue. I will argue any argument that needs to be that this guy's legit. He is the best pitcher in baseball. Yes, he has a 9-2 record right now. 125 strikeouts coming into tonight, and I think he struck out 7 straight batters and had 8 on the night before we started. So he was just absolutely dealing and filthy. Let's see, where's ERA here? ERA at 2.29 coming into tonight. Casey Mize pitched a gem yesterday. Seems like he's getting kind of back to where he started the season at. So again, solid number 2. And both him and Skubal are 28 years old. Jack Flaherty has kind of had his ups and downs, which that's what you're going to get with him right now. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And Reese Olson, let's see, how many innings? Reese Olson just coming back, 42 and 48 and 2/3 innings. So they're probably trying to work him back into the mix. So overall, I'm not. I think the gem out of the whole pitching staff as a whole is Tommy Kahnle. Tommy Kahnle, the edgy vet, just pitching his ass off. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So that's kind of all the stats. I was trying to figure out did I want to do the tweets or the stats first. So I said, you know what, let's rip the Band-Aid off and get to the stats first. So let's take a look at what Twitter is saying about these Tigers. And again, from our boy J. Hey Kid, Tariq Skubal is the perfect pitcher. Best in MLB since 2024 in WAR or ERA/WAR. Highest swing rate induced, highest in-zone rate, second highest first pitch strike rate, tied for third highest chase rate, probably the best single pitch in baseball, throwing 4-seam and change harder each year. I know that's a mouthful right there. That's a mouthful right there. But you look at the highest swing rate induced, highest in-zone rate. So he's throwing the ball in the zone higher than anyone else. And he's garnering the most swings than anybody else. That blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. Here's another one from Chris Castellani. It's going back to our discussion about the AL Central. The Guardians have lost. Detroit is the only team in the AL Central with an above 500 record, and they're doing it substantially. They're 20 games over. And this is from Paul Hembo over on ESPN. Most wins in the last 162 regular season games. The Tigers are number 1 with 100. So from today going back 162 games, which, as we all know, is a major league season, the Tigers would have 100 wins. Dodgers with 98, Padres at 97, Astros and Mets with 96, Cubs 94, D-backs 91, Brewers at 90. So it's kind of a cool little thing because that's taking into account how this Tigers team has started and takes into account how they ended the season. So now, yeah, you can definitely see kind of a nice, clean 100 win, 62 loss Detroit Tigers team. Let's give some love to Javi. This is from hashtag Therese Skubal for president. This was kind of cool. This was honestly kind of cool, and I wish he would have said who the TikTok commenter was, because I would really like to give them kudos. I just saw a comment on a TikTok of Javi Baez that said the Cub finally became a Tiger, and I'm not gonna lie, that goes hard. So, Skubal for Prez, thank you for sharing that, because I think it's awesome too. And to kind of wrap up the whole wins thing here, again, this is 4 days ago. The Tigers are the first to 30 wins, first to 40 wins, first to 50 wins, and I believe first to 400 runs scored. I believe that was the stat. So again, just utter dominance from a team that I think a lot of people just kind of wrote off. So, or not wrote off, but did not expect this type of just absolute domination that I think we're seeing. So all in all, we've talked about the Tigers stats, the standings, how they match up with the AL Central, where their stats line up within baseball. So let's look. That got me thinking. It's like, okay, where are they to win the division? They're 20 games up. And to answer that question, they are minus 2,500 over on FanDuel. Hashtag not sponsored. Would love to be sponsored by FanDuel. Would love to be, FanDuel, the official sports book of the Turbo and 2K show. But yeah, they're minus 2,500 to win the division. Just to kind of put that into perspective, the Yankees are minus 290 to win the East. The Astros are minus 600 to win the West. The Padres are minus 190 to win the NL East. The Cubs minus 230 to win the Central. And the Dodgers minus 3,500 to win the West. So just to kind of put that into perspective before we go on to World Series odds. World Series odds as of June 29th, 2025. with those I just read off to you, you would kind of expect the Dodgers to lead the pack here. Dodgers are plus 210 to win the World Series. Now, judging by what I just told you, one would think that the Tigers would be a close second. You would be incorrect. Because FanDuel has the Yankees at plus 650. So the Tigers have to be behind the Yankees, right? Nope. Phillies plus 800. Well, I guess the Phillies and the Tigers are tied, but Tigers plus 800. And I did see a couple books that have that plus 850. So if you're looking to throw down a futures bet, you love this Tigers team that much, plus 800, plus 850, not too bad. Not too bad. Followed by the Astros and the Cubs. So just kind of let's put a bow on. Now, I said that to say this. Let's standings. Okay. I believe the Tigers have a 1-game lead over the Dodgers, 53, 52. If the Tigers win tonight, they'll be tied with the Dodgers for the exact same record, 53 and 32. So the Yankees have a record of 48 and 35 in a much tougher division. So I'm not getting where those odds are coming from. So this could be a perfect time, 2K Crew, to sneak in and grab yourself a big payday. Big payday. All right, I think I have all the Tiger stuff out of the way. Let me know your thoughts. Are the Tigers are they as good as what we're seeing? Um, if you are a Tigers fan, where do you want them to go during or prior to the trade deadline? I think bullpen is a very viable target, as well as there's been screamings about third base. So I honestly think those are the two targets that the Tigers front office will be kind of focusing on. So let's take a look at kind of some other stuff happening around the MLB. Let's take a quick. I mean, we kind of touch base on a lot of stuff. Um, one thing I didn't get to is the kind of the downfall of the Mets. Downfall of the Mets. They've won 3 of their last 10. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they've fallen a game and a half back of the Phillies. And if I remember correctly, last week we had Phillies and Mets on Sunday Night Baseball, to which the Phillies did win, if I'm not mistaken. But if I'm thinking right, the Mets just got swept by the Pirates. And I don't think. Yep. They got swept by the Pirates. So a Pirate team that, by all accounts, a lot of people have written off. A lot of people, aside from Skeens, when it's Skeens Day, um, just kind of really aren't really interesting. They're 35 and 50, 14 and a half back of the Cubs. And coincidentally, they have a 3-game winning streak because, like I said, they just swept the Mets. They've won 6 of their last 10. The Dodgers are doing Dodger shit. That's not a big surprise. The Cubs is getting off to as good a start as they have. The Brewers are knocking on both the Brewers and the Cardinals are kind of knocking in. Let's not count the Reds out here either. The Reds are 5 back, Cardinals are 2.5 back, the Brewers are 2. And this Cincinnati team is a team that a lot of folks are saying keep an eye on. Keep an eye on. Maybe, definitely for the Central being 5 games back, but definitely a wild card spot, because it seems like the pitching staff of the Reds is kind of the best part of their team. We've all saw Hunter Green. They're getting, they're bringing kids up from AAA that are just slicing and dicing. So if this team gets gets a big bump in the pitching, which it looks like they have, National League better watch out. The Brewers and Cubs had better watch out. And I know we haven't talked about the Mizorowski kid, because that dude, jeez, oh Pates. Jeez, oh Pates. Let me see if I can find that. It's a video, so I didn't grab it. But let me see here. Just so you guys and gals can give this person a shout. Because the videos that he puts together is absolutely just phenomenal. Because what he does is he puts pitchers kind of overlap, so you can kind of see how similar their deliveries are. Rob Friedman, pitching ninja, that's right. He puts one DeGrom versus Jacob Mizorowski, and they look identical, absolutely identical. And he does another one with Mizorowski and Paul Skeens, that he outdueled the phenom Paul Skeens. He had, I think Skeens touched 100 once. This kid barely didn't touch 100. So what he's doing is absolutely wild. Absolutely wild, insane. I have a feeling that he will get a Turbo and 2K's glazing here very soon, because last I checked, he has more wins than hits allowed. 2 wins, only 1 hit allowed. And I don't care what stat you're going by, what pitching stat you're going by. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's damn good. That's damn good. So yeah, there's a lot of really good young kids coming up that I think is absolutely amazing. And to kind of think like, Scooble was one of those young kids, still is pretty young at 28, kind of the elder statesman here. He legitimately he is. If you look at all these young kids, all these young guns coming up, that, man, baseball's in good hands. Baseball is in very, very good hands. And let's do a quick check of the score here. All right. 3-0 Detroit. And before we do get out of here, I did want to give a special shout out. For those of you that watched a couple weeks ago, we kind of talked about the Murray State and their run to the College World Series. So I was on Twitter and saw that there was a shirt down there that was voted best shirt of the College World Series. And it just so happened that someone from there, or I'm assuming they're from either their alumni or current students of Murray State, made this shirt. So I got a hold of my buddy Jeremy, who his son, Derek, it pitches for Murray State. And I was like, Jeremy, dude, if you see one of these shirts, you gotta get me this shirt. Gotta get me this shirt. And so once we get kind of off of our rump and get the background situated here a little bit more, this is going to be proudly displayed. So again, kudos, Derek, and the Murray State Racers for your awesome season. Can't wait to see what you guys do next week. Again, thank you, Jeremy, for getting this over to me, because this might be one of the coolest shirts I've ever seen. It says, "Our mascot's not the only thing hung like a horse." How awesome is that? How awesome is that? So yes, thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Derek. And it will be displayed proudly here in the studio once we get everything situated. So I did want to give I put it on the desk here so I wouldn't forget. I was going to do it in the open, and just got too excited. So, yeah. Again, thank you, Jeremy. We'll get that displayed and proudly displayed. Well, 2K Crew, I think that's all I have in store for you guys and gals tonight. Everyone have a great week. And again, thank you everyone over on Twitter that's watching live, over on YouTube that's watching live, our Facebook group, facebook.com/group/2K Crew. For those of you that are watching in the group over there or listening on the audio side, we love and appreciate each and every one of you. I'll get you out of here on that. Everyone have a safe week. Be safe. Stay cool. And until next time, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.